Biofriendly Podcast. It's the Biofriendly Podcast.
Hey, are we officially started the podcast too, or is
I think
just
we've.
the Clubhouse?
I was just talking to the Clubhouse audience.
Okay, good.
So we've officially started now.
Now we've started the podcast.
Before we were not started, but now we're started.
So we've never told anybody we're doing this.
No.
So literally nobody knows it's happening. So
Exactly.
So for those people who have jumped into this Clubhouse, you're experiencing something
for the first time.
that none of us know what we're doing.
We are absolutely flying blind, and we've never done it. But
we thought, how fun would it be to start doing the podcast live?
Right. So for the audience who listens to the show regularly and you don't know what Clubhouse is a newer app that's kind of like, I don't know, I guess you could describe it as people talking, like talking radio, like live podcasting, basically.
Yes. It's like, it's kind of perfect for what we're doing because it's interactive in that somebody can raise their hand and ask a question. And then Elise, who we're going to introduce everybody to in a moment, can like put them on and get their question, and
let
then we
them
can
chime
actually
in.
talk to people as
Live.
opposed to all the time when people are calling in before and the phone's ringing and we're saying don't call in yet.
Right.
Now we don't.
This is actually live.
Now you can actually call in.
Exactly. And Clubhouse is also it's not open to the public yet. It's in its beta stages, or at least whatever this stage of the game. It's by invite only. So it's not an app that you can just go join no matter what. So
join now.
So join now. Get invited now.
So basically, what we're saying is we're now doing the show live.
Yes.
So if you want to come back next week and listen to it live, it'll be recorded the day before.
Yes,
usually.
And I'll announce it. I'll announce it.
I'll
go on the socials and I'll say we're going to be going live at this time so that I can invite people who listen.
And if you're not
regularly
part of Clubhouse and you can't get in, then tough luck. This is just the kind of thing that we like to do, is to make things impossible.
We
for
really
you,
like to exclude people about the environment. So. No, but now let's get on to our new team member.
Yes.
We have a brand new team member to the Biofriendly crew.
Very excited.
Excited about it. Go ahead. Take it away.
Elise Mccarthy, ladies and gentlemen, has joined the team. Yes, she started. It's her first day with Biofriendly, and we thought, what better way to invite someone into the Biofriendly team than to completely throw them in the deep end of an experimental concept that we're doing, that we've never done before, that she's never done before, that none of us have any idea about whatsoever, because that's how we do it at Biofriendly.
Yeah.
That's right, folks.
Exactly.
So Elise is handling it like a champ. Actually, we found out today that because she's younger than we are.
Yes.
Now, Elise, are you millennial aged, or are you after the millennial? Why would you? Which
Generation
which
X?
Are you? Yeah.
Is that
No, X is way. That's us. We're X is old people. No, millennial or Z or Y? Z?
Yeah.
I was born in 96.
96.
So yeah, you're
borderline Gen Z.
Borderline Z.
You're after millennial.
Okay.
Zillennial.
She's a
Zillennial. So we have a Zillennial now helping us. And what was funny about that is we were experimenting with podcast with Clubhouse today to try to get some idea of what we were doing before we started this.
Yep.
And Jacob and I are like, do this, do that. And she just started doing it without, like, never having used Clubhouse or touching it before in her life. She made Clubhouse work perfectly, and we were like, oh yeah, like that. That's exactly, that's correct.
That's how you do it.
That tells you how when you're a Zillennial, you just intuitively know what you're doing, and when you're a Gen Xer, although we're
not technically Gen X
we're
either.
We're kind of similar a little bit to Elise.
There was an article written on us, and I think we talked about this on the show, kind of the lost generation. People from 1976, 77, around then, all the way till 83. And that's like a window of people that had life before the internet, and then after the internet, right at that crucial,
as we were developing
coming
our
of age,
brains,
formative years, Nice. So that's who we are. So we're not technically Gen
What
X.
do they call us? Are we
the Oregon Trail generation?
The Oregon Trails. Oregon Trails. Exennials.
Exennials. Yeah, something like
See,
that.
I like to take word combinations of odd things.
For anybody watching the show, you may have just noticed me get up and check the camera, but because we're doing Clubhouse and because we're doing so many new things, my old man brain was like, I don't even know if I hit record on the camera.
That's perfect. That's exactly right.
We're doing great is what I'm trying to say.
We're killing it here.
Killing it. Killing it.
At least one out of three of us. Elise is killing it.
Yeah.
You and I are just kind of moving right along.
Yeah.
Anyway, so if you have any questions as we go along here, then do the whole raise your hand quietly.
Yeah.
And then when there's a nice break, we'll ask Elise if there's any questions, or if she thinks this is getting boring, there might be a question that you want to pop in, then she may cut in.
Move it right along.
Because like we throw things a little. We're gonna discover how this works as we go. So yeah. Also, I'm realizing we need to get Elise a microphone.
You think so?
We need to
have?
Yeah, well, because if we ask her a question or she's in the middle of it, then we've got to be able to hear her. Otherwise, the audience is going to be like, I wish I could hear what Elise just said then, but they can't.
That's true.
So,
they might be able to hear her faintly. But you're right.
Let's invest.
Let's invest in a whole setup
Thousands of people now listen to our podcast.
true.
We should invest in better technology.
It's true.
We should have the thing that gets more and we can plug in. You know what I'm saying?
The thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Well, we are going to actually do a topic today.
What is it, Jacob? What are we
We're
up
going
to?
to talk about a couple things because we had a listener, supporter of the show, Kevin Brayman. He brought up on our social media. He said, "What is even going on with the ozone layer? Like, whatever happened with that?" Because it is one of those things that was a big deal when we were kids.
Yeah.
Do you remember that being?
It was global warming when we were kids.
Yeah, it was, and different from now. It wasn't polarizing. Like people didn't go, I don't believe in it. You know what I mean? It was just they were like, there's a hole in the ozone layer in the 80s, and everybody was like, oh, we should probably patch the hole. I mean, that's the energy I felt from it.
I think there's probably a reason for that.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna have as a theory.
Okay.
And then if someone smarter can tell me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
But here's my theory on that. So the ozone layer was being caused by chlorofluorocarbons.
Yes,
right?
CFCs, which were in refrigerators, air conditioners, and
hairspray.
Hairsprays, like Aquanet.
Yes.
Which was very 80s.
Right.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
Good times.
The hairspray kept your hair solid,
we
but it wasn't
looked
good
fabulous. We were killing the environment,
but we were destroying ourselves.
Yes.
Classic humans.
But
yeah, so the chlorofluorocarbons were basically what was causing it, and now the major industry that was using that was cooling,
right?
Refrigerant, right? So that was while it was a large industry.
Yeah.
And while there were people making money on it, and people still wanted to be cool during the summer back then, so there was something to it. It wasn't like energy.
Okay.
Right? So like right now, there is when you talk about climate change, we're talking about changing how we create energy.
Sure.
So when we create energy, the way we did it before any of the global warming talk came up.
Right.
We created energy by burning things.
Right.
We burned wood, we burned coal, we burned fuels. That's how we did it. That's how we made it. And then we had a little bit of nuclear power that was kind of growing up. And that was the only thing that we weren't burning really to make electricity.
Sure.
Well, at the same time, the demand for energy went just bananas.
Yeah.
Because everybody suddenly had a cell phone, and everybody suddenly had a network in their house, and everybody suddenly had computers.
That's true.
And so suddenly this whole... So two kind of things changed, where one, the energy industry, which was bigger, and there were more people vested in burning stuff, right? So there's more money in that industry, which means there's more people holding stock in those companies, which means there's more businesses that are making a lot of money and have a lot of money. And two, because more people are using energy, to switch off of it becomes harder because you've built a whole infrastructure around we're burning stuff to make energy. Yeah. And I think that, one, you get PR from people who don't want to stop making lots of money. Right. Saying, oh, well, global warming is not real because we're making money. We want to keep doing that. So, you put out PR. The other one is the difficulty of transitioning. I think that's something that still isn't quite understood by greenies. A lot of the people who love the environment is that to move from where we were, even where we are, to where we need to go,
it's going to take some time.
It takes some work. There's a lot. There's the technology still needs to improve. Stuff still needs to happen to make that better. And I think that the combination of those things makes this one topic way more complicated than the ozone was, because frankly, while we wanted to be cooler, people could figure it out. People could live without being cooler, and there wasn't that big of an industry. It was huge. There was lots of people making money, but it wasn't it was nothing compared to creating energy. Yeah. So I think so
that's why it was different.
Yeah, and I think regulating and saying, hey, look, folks, you figured out how to make chlorofluorocarbons. Let's figure out a better version of Freon, which actually Freon isn't. That's a trade name, by the way.
Is it really?
It's not even a real. People think, I'm going to put Freon in my tank like it's the name. That's just a trade name. That's owned by DuPont.
Oh, so that's like Kleenex.
Yeah.
That's like a brand of a CFC.
Totally.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
wow. There we go.
So then now they've cut out the chlorine part. So now it's hydrofluorocarbons is what they use.
Hydrofluorocarbons,
to
which is new. So I did a little reading on this, and it's good that Elise is here because had you been made aware of the hole in the ozone layer? This is before you were born, so this wasn't even a thing.
So awesome! They fixed it before.
Well, no, they haven't fixed it.
Well, no, they haven't fixed it, but it will be fixed. It's on the way to being fixed.
It is, and so
I mean, they did fix it because you stopped creating the problem that was doing it. So
exactly. So
there's still holes, but they're patching.
Exactly, and so that was the question that was asked, which is, so in the 1980s, there was this global conversation about we're creating a hole in the ozone layer. And the ozone layer is this, it's basically Earth's sunblock, and it's in the stratosphere. And it's basically, that's what it's described as. It's the sunblock, right? It keeps out the UV rays. Yeah. And so in the 1980s, it started being discovered that we were causing holes in it in the 1970s. And then in the 1980s, it became this thing where they recognized there's this hole and it's happening over Antarctica. And it's, oh no, if we don't have an ozone layer, if this UV rays can come through, then we're all going to get cooked down here and it's going to be a problem. Yeah. And so it became this national emergency. And one of those things in global, not even national, global.
International
emergency. CFCs primarily, if I'm remembering right, I usually have my iPad to like read all this stuff, but if I remember right, it's primarily the things that were tearing a hole in the ozone were chlorine and bromine. Those were the things that once they got up there, that was what was causing the ozone to come apart.
Yes, chlorine was the bigger issue. Like so should I mean to
definitely dig in, baby.
So
the 80s smelled like pools, is what I'm trying to say. Everything was chlorine.
Everything smelled like
everything.
Tropical suntan lotion
and pools.
Yes. No. So ozone is not a stable. It's not a stable molecule.
It's unstable.
Yes, like it easily, becomes ozone, then stops being ozone, then becomes other things, right?
Yeah.
And because of that, it persists really well at a very specific spot, right?
Okay.
It doesn't persist very well low, really down where we are.
Yeah.
And it doesn't persist very well once you get out too close to space. But when you're in the stratosphere, it's the right amount of pressure, so it kind of hangs out because the things that change the way chemicals interact. There's a lot of things, but two ones that people talk about a lot are temperature, making it hotter or colder, and pressure. So you're squeezing it more, you're squeezing it less.
Sure.
Right? So the higher you are in the atmosphere, the less pressure there is. So ozone kind of sits up in that area, right?
Yeah, and ozone on the surface of the Earth is toxic, right?
Yeah.
It's bad. It's only
toxic.
Okay
if you were up there breathing it, it wouldn't be good for you either.
Okay, so note to you kids: do not go to the stratosphere and breathe the ozone.
Yeah, just stay out of it.
Stay out of it.
Just stop
going up into space.
What is it? Stop doing whippets with ozone.
Yeah, right. Whippets.
All right.
Another thing from the 80s.
Yeah.
Go on.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay. So basically, the issue with chlorine, there's other things that will break up ozone.
Sure.
But the chlorine does really well it rises. It's lighter than the air, so it goes up really high. So it gets up into where the ozone layer is and then interacts. I'm going to do a thing.
Okay.
I'm going to do a thing. Here's how the ozone layer protects us.
Okay.
As described with a ridiculous analogy.
Okay. Not nature's sunblock. Something even better.
Even better. Okay. So here's how it works. Here's how chlorine messes up the whole, and bromine.
Okay.
Mess up the whole thing.
Chlorine and bromine. The means.
The eans. Okay. So let's imagine that there are a bunch of children.
Okay.
In a bar.
Oh no. What's happening?
Oh my gosh, how do all these kids get in the bar?
What kind of society are we living in with children in a bar?
No, and if these children get their hands on alcohol, they're going to get very sick.
Okay, it's true.
And it'll be awful.
I've tested this on my own kids.
Right? So
no, I'm kidding.
And we can equate that to the sun damage and the cancer that you would get from too much ultraviolet radiation. Okay?
Sure.
These are and children are human beings and animals and plant life and whatever else. Okay?
Yes.
They're kids in a bar.
Okay, kids in a bar.
Okay. Thankfully, there's also a bunch of drunk dudes at the bar.
Okay.
Why is this thankful? Because the drunk dudes see all of the ultraviolet radiation, which we're going to call beer.
Beer. And they're drinking it?
And they go, hey, look at that. There's beer. I want beer.
Okay.
And so they grab the beer, right?
Right.
Now, so long as it's a bunch of drunk dudes, right, you can have O2, which is two drunk dudes.
Yeah.
Right? Up in the stratosphere. And those two drunk dudes can pass their beer back and forth or have the beer and enjoy it. And then they're just keeping the beer there.
Yeah.
Or O3. And sometimes maybe you'll have a third dude who'll go over to this other dude and they'll have 3 dudes here and 2 dudes here. But there's always pretty much 1 dude, 2 dudes, or 3 dudes.
Okay.
Right? Which is either an oxygen atom, an oxygen molecule, or ozone.
Right.
So these oxygens
Orville, Oliver. I'm just trying to name the guys.
all of the O's.
I'm trying to get there's
These-
limited O names for gentlemen.
Orion.
So, Orion.
Yes.
Oliver, Orville, and Orion. The three drunkest
O's.
dudes
The 3 drunkest
at the bar.
Yes. But let's imagine so they're drunks at the bar.
Okay.
So long as it's a bunch of drunk dudes, they're going to keep talking to each other. They're going to keep drinking all of the beer, and the children will be safe from alcohol.
Okay.
Here's the problem.
Okay.
In walks a babe.
Oh no.
And what happens when the babe walks into the bar? She comes in and she's like, I would
We'll
like
have-
a beer, but before I have a beer, I want to talk to this drunk dude.
Yeah.
And then the
Orville.
drunk dude
Probably Orville.
ignores the other dudes and starts talking to the babe.
Okay.
And then let's say there's 2 or 3. Now suddenly there's girls all over the bar.
Yeah.
And they're talking to all the drunk dudes.
Okay.
And now all the drunk dudes have stopped drinking the beer because they're too involved trying to get a date with all of the pretty babes.
Okay. Okay.
Can I say babes on the radio?
I
Is
think
that
you can say
okay?
babes.
Or
I think babes is still
ladies?
allowed.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Wonderful women.
Well, so now the beer that was being stopped by
Okay.
all of these drunks
Yeah.
are now getting past the drunks and making it to the children.
The kids.
And now the kids are drinking the beer,
ordering.
and the kids are all getting super drunk and sick and terrible.
And this is how ozone works.
So this is how ozone works. The ozone layer works exactly like that. So chlorine can be the ladies, right, who are distracting the
The
guys.
ladies are the chlorine and the bromine.
So basically, the chemical version of that would be that the ozone is bonding to something else other than other
There you go.
oxygen. So instead of the oxygen and the ozone working with each other, they're now working with, because in nature, ultraviolet light reacts with oxygen, and then it splits off an oxygen atom, and then it kind of is free and then runs between O2 and ozone.
I love it.
And that's how it.
I love it.
Did that work? Did that make sense?
Yeah, it helps break it down.
I do it?
You did it. You did a great bar analogy. Bar analogy.
These are our
everybody.
classic dumb analogies.
That's a Noel thing.
Yeah, we
you
try
put
to
it. You put it into something that we can understand. So and now I get it.
Now, so what we did is we basically took the chlorine out of the equation.
Yeah.
And then we made something that still works to keep us cool.
Yeah.
But doesn't continue to add that into the atmosphere. And
Right.
we have found that since doing that, the ozone has started to repair itself. And
It has.
I think 2016 they declared that it would be by the middle of the century it would be patched.
But I have bad news for you.
Oh my God. What's
Here comes-
wrong now?
Here comes a bummer run. First of all, I thought this would be interesting for people listening to the
Is
show.
it that the solution is worse for
No.
for global warming? Because
No. Well, that's not it. So I want you to chime in on that. But first, I wanted to share with the audience, when I think of the ozone hole and the ozone layer, we think of holes as being like something that I can, it's like the size of a giant frisbee in the sky, something like that. But I didn't realize how large it was when it was at its worst. Back in the day when it was like at its largest.
Australians have horrible problems with skin cancer.
Yeah.
Literally because of how big, because it got, like you say, Antarctica, it got so big that it was over Australia.
Yeah. It said it was 8 million square miles. So it was the size of Europe.
Yeah.
And that's how big.
Quite large.
Yeah, quite large. So very large. So it has been shrinking down
Yes.
and it's been getting smaller. But in 2019, there has been, at least, it's not gotten out of control, but there's been some detection in the atmosphere of some illegal CFCs working their way back up from industries. So there's people out there working and using things that have been banned and taken out of the industry, and they're using them again on the secret, on the down low.
People are letting beebs in the bar?
Yes, people are letting bees. Exactly. They were like, this was supposed to just be a bros only hangout, and now they're like, well, let's get the. Oh, I mean, that makes sense. In that analogy, I get it. I don't want to go to a bar and it's just a bunch of guys. So,
They don't know any better.
Yeah, they don't know any better.
Yeah.
So in
They're
this,
happy. They have their beer. They get their ultraviolet light. They're fine.
they have their beer and they're surrounded by kids that are trying to get to the bar.
Yes.
But this is the little bit of a bummer is that there are some businesses out there. They don't know who, but they've been able to detect in the atmosphere that somebody is using these chlorines and these CFCs again.
So how much worse did it get?
Not much worse yet.
Yeah.
Yet. But
Well, all right,
they're
'cause
saying we
we
were
were
on the road to recovery
Yeah.
and we were going to solve it. And then they're like, dadgummit, we've got people out there still trying. And these are industries. They think it's foam. They think it's Chinese like foam companies or something like that they think are using the CFCs. Not to point fingers. That was what the article said.
I don't want to point fingers at one country or another country.
I don't want to point fingers, but they were saying in that area there were some foam factories and whatnot that they think that's where it's coming from.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
So
what do we do?
Are we all going to die?
No, we're not all going to die.
Is that it, Jacob? Do we give up the show?
No, yeah, that was it.
Wow,
this is the last
I
Biofriendly
can't believe
podcast.
I can't believe I didn't see. Normally, I try to keep my ear to the ground in this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I
So
missed
that's
awful.
Yeah. So
We were on the way to recovery.
and then people are doing it again.
Oh, now I got to put it on the list of things to fix.
But the thing, yes, put it on the list of things to fix. But back in 1987, there was this thing called the Montreal Protocol, and that
Yes.
was the thing that was put through that really changed how CFCs were being used.
Yeah.
And so possibly there'll be some more regulations and things being done to enforce and stop these things from being produced. That's what I'm hoping. We'll have like a Montreal Protocol Part 2.
Look, the world has changed in the last little while, and we discussed that a little bit on past podcasts, and we can discuss it again on future ones. But basically, I mean, since America has shifted itself away from manufacturing or continues to do so, and has sort of sent that to other places, some of this has started over, and some of this has. I mean, you look at that with climate change. I mean, that's unfortunately sending all of our manufacturing and like heavy energy business to China and Latin America and other places has sent it to spots where there's less regulation and there's less concern about what is being done because they haven't yet experienced it. We're at a different kind of point in our history. So there's probably going to be some learning that has to happen there, and probably some regulation, and probably look, you got to bring these countries to the table and say this is serious. Yeah. But it's a real disappointment to go backwards on ozone since we were making so much progress. Doing such a good job fixing it.
Yeah. So the overall, before I get to this kind of part 2 to the podcast today, the answer to the question is whatever happened to the ozone layer. Regulations were put in place. Everybody was like, we got to chill out on these CFCs. Yep. We got to figure out different ways to use the products that we use. We got to stop it. And we immediately started making a correction in the 1980s, and it kept going through the 90s and through the early 2000s. And we really did begin to see, like you were saying, they were like, we're doing it. It's shrinking over the next few decades. We're doing it, Peter. It's going to shrink down. And but the only thing that they're saying is this one little thing. But I think we can stop it.
Yeah.
So the answer is
I'm
it's
going to
still out
dig in
there.
now and see how much it's gotten worse and how much the problem is going on elsewhere.
Why don't you do a follow-up maybe in a future episode? You can tell us what you found.
I'm going to follow up, man.
Follow up. For the next part is actually something that you sent to me because I thought this was pretty interesting, and it does link to kind of in a roundabout way to ozone. Okay. Which is there's an article, Bill Gates wants to spray millions of tons of chalk into stratosphere to slow global warming.
Yes, more stratosphere talk.
What? Yeah, this is more, you could almost say that the core of today's episode is about the stratosphere.
Maybe we should have said stratosphere.
We should call it Stratosphere Talk.
Stratosphere Talk with Noel and Jacob.
Strato Chat with Noel and Jacob. Strato Chat. So Stratosphere. So he wants to launch millions of tons of chalk into stratosphere to slow global warming.
Yes, eventually.
Yeah. The title is misleading because it says millions of tons.
Yeah.
He wants to put 5 pounds up there.
Yes.
To do a test.
Yes. That's actually what's happened.
That's the real headline.
Yeah.
We've talked about that before.
Hilarious?
It is hilarious that the headline is so shocking. You're like, Bill Gates wants to launch millions of tons of chalk into the atmosphere. When in reality, he wants to do a test. The idea is to, and this is fascinating, dim the sun.
Yes.
The idea is to send something into space and release about 5 pounds of chalk in the chalk dust into the stratosphere and measure, could that help block the sun's rays from the Earth and help cool us down a little bit? That's the concept.
Right.
But it is controversial. It is controversial.
I mean, it's massively controversial because you have no idea.
You have no idea. And that's the thing is this is a test. So before people glom on and say, yeah, this is a test.
A what?
A test.
A what?
A test.
Oh, a test.
It's a test.
A what?
But there are other people who think that what this is a terrible idea and that we absolutely should not move forward with this because you're messing with Earth's atmospheric systems and weather systems, and even the thought of putting, the 5 pounds, I think they're like, fine, do the test, but this is a bad idea.
Yeah, I mean, 5 pounds is
not going to do that much.
Is no big deal.
No.
5 pounds, you could release 5 pounds in a classroom, and while everybody would be coughing and want to leave, it wouldn't be the end of the world.
Yeah.
Like it's you think about that in the stratosphere. I mean, it's enormous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's not 5 pounds will do nothing. So it's there's no issue with what's been done.
What's your take on it? Do you think this? I mean, it's worth doing a test.
I think I'm of two minds, right?
Okay.
Like I think that we don't know always what's going to happen when we try these ideas.
Yeah.
So I can definitely see why people are nervous and why people are scared about the concept of so now we're going to introduce chalk to the stratosphere. What's that going to do to the ozone layer? What's that going to do to whatever? What happens when it comes down? What happens if it interacts with what's up there?
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. What if we put up too much and we block too much of the sun and we go into a freeze and we all die?
I thought you do it and then you block out the sun's rays and we chill the planet like way too much.
Or what if it starts trapping what's down in here and then we start increasing our greenhouse gas effect? I mean, there's a bunch of...
Oh, yeah. I hadn't even thought of that.
There's a bunch
It'd
of
be
things.
like a Dutch oven.
Yeah.
It'd be like when you fart and you put a blanket over somebody's head. We'd be doing that to ourselves. We'd be Dutch ovening the world.
I cannot believe we're about to Dutch oven ourselves.
Thanks, Bill Gates.
So thoughtless.
Thanks, Bill Gates.
No one likes a Dutch oven.
Ugh.
Except for the person who's doing the Dutch oven to the other person. That person thinks it's hilarious.
I hope a lot of children who listen to the show today learn
what a Dutch oven is?
They learned about that you pass gas under a blanket and then you put it over somebody's head, and it's probably the meanest thing you can do.
What percentage of younger siblings do you think are going to learn about Dutch oven the worst way after this podcast?
90%.
Most,
90%.
right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Those poor younger siblings. I feel bad for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well.
But back to science.
Back to science. So so we don't know. Now the flip side of this is one thing that I think isn't quite understood by people when we talk about global warming is there is carbon that has already been released into the atmosphere. Yeah. And unless you can find ways to get it out of the atmosphere, it's not going anywhere. Yeah. Like it's there. Right. So when we talk about cutting it back and creating less carbon, we're talking about not making it worse. Yeah. Like by not putting carbon into the atmosphere, it isn't going to suddenly make it so that what we've done already goes away. Right. What's in the atmosphere is in the atmosphere.
It's already there.
So obviously we want to do what we can, and actually it's fluorocarbons hydrofluorocarbons are worse. Really? For the environment that are like in terms of climate change are worse than CO2.
And that's what you were hinting at earlier, where you said the solution being even worse for the ozone layer.
Right. Now we don't use nearly as much of that as we do in producing energy or driving cars or whatever else. Right. So I mean, it's not necessarily something to go crazy freaking out about, but it's not, we haven't created the solution yet. This is another example of not thinking about the next problem, right? Like we had something to fix the problem that was fine, but that created another problem. And so
classic humanity.
Yeah. And so in the course, the hotter it gets, the more we air condition, and the more we air condition, the more we throw that up in the air, the hotter it gets. So it's pretty wicked if you think about that. So we have to come up with something better in that regard. But that aside,
that's one of those things that you think about and it does make your head go, oh no, come on. I get hotter, I turn on the AC and I make it worse.
Yeah, you totally do.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's okay.
Okay.
We
use your AC.
We try not to freak people out. The whole point of the podcast is to be fun and to be light and keep out. You're fine. You're fine. We're working on it.
We're working on it.
We'll fix that problem too.
Yeah. We personally will fix that problem.
We've already solved so many problems.
We've been looking at the dry erase board and we've come up with some ideas.
We got a couple ideas. We got some windows in here that we use our markers on. And we write out formulas.
Like a beautiful mind.
Yes.
Just like, can I get ice to entire world? Yes, that's what we're working on.
So I think that this is one of the examples, like putting the chalk in the atmosphere is one of those experimental examples that you say, could this be a solution that would work? And potentially it might.
Right.
Potentially it might, actually. And it might work without causing any damage to anything at all because chalk is fairly stable.
Yeah.
So if you do a test and you're finding that in this test, it's, because this test isn't to show really how much it blocks out the sun. It's to show how do things react up there.
Right. It's more of an atmospheric test.
Yes, because they want to know how much damage are we. This is a safety test. It's more of a safety test than a does it work test. Yeah. So you'd have to put out way more in order to do a does it work test.
Yeah, that's the funny thing about is that further you dig in the article, that's exactly what they say. Is it like classic news reporting? It's a lot of panic, sensationalist headlines. And then you dig in and you go, it's an atmospheric test. They know that this amount, that 5 pounds or 2 kilograms or whatever it is not going to do enough to show us truly enough to dim the sun or show the effects of that. It's just to see, what would this do? How would it impact the atmosphere?
Right.
And so it's probably not even that controversial of a test in that regard because it's just an atmosphere test.
They put up they in a balloon, they put up 500 pounds of testing equipment to release 5 pounds of chalk.
Right.
So if that doesn't give you an idea of what the goal was of the test, then I don't know what's wrong with you. You should unsubscribe.
Yeah, unsubscribe.
Yeah.
I'm going to read a little bit about it just so that people can hear about this. Okay. The idea has been heavily criticized since its inception, with project director Frank Kuch even calling the need for this scale of geoengineering terrifying.
Yeah, sure.
He's terrified. Yeah. And experts have warned that the unusual technique could be disastrous for weather systems in ways nobody could predict. Disastrous. But backed by a range of private donors...
It could snow chalk.
It could snow chalk forever.
Forever.
Day after tomorrow, we're covered in chalk. Yeah. Backed by a range of private donors, including Gates, the test mission is launching from Sweden, as they could offer a launch by the end of this summer. So they're going to send up, just like you said, they're sending up a test balloon, 500 pounds of scientific equipment, 12 miles above the surface of the Arctic town. And if it all goes well, about 2 kilograms or 5 pounds of dust will be released. This will then create a dust plume several kilometers in length, not large enough to have any effect on the intensity of the sun's rays hitting the Earth. During that first test, the team would gather information on how particles of dust react to the air. That's it. That's all they're doing. Yeah.
So I mean that is classic reporting is let's scare people to get you to read, and then you read and you find out that it's not. The only problem is people don't read.
Right.
They just see the headline, then they freak out, then they share it on social media. Oh my God, Bill Gates is throwing chalk in the atmosphere.
Yeah, right.
When actually Bill Gates probably has invested in 1,000 different projects like this that are experimental.
He's just involved in the project somewhere.
One of the things, like when you're as rich as that dude, one of the things you learn is that you have to diversify. You have to throw out lots of options.
Yeah.
So he probably has $1 million in 1,000 different things.
Yeah.
Which for him is nothing.
And then so they're putting his name on the article because they know that's going to get people to read it.
Because then you click on it because the vaccine stuff. There's so many things that people give him a hard time about.
Yeah, if it was Walter Cheddar is doing this experiment, people would go, I don't know who Walter Cheddar is. And
Walter Cheddar is a very underrated philanthropist who's been giving cheese to mice for millennia. The Cheddar family has been better to the mouse community than any other family.
Oh, the Cheddar Dynasty.
The Cheddar Dynasty.
They're the best. That sounds like a great band.
The Cheddar Dynasty. They're playing this Friday at the El Rey.
You guys make sure to check us out with the Cheddar Dynasty. That's essentially it. We covered.
No, it's not it.
What?
Wasn't I on a roll about something that you cut me off on? I was.
I wasn't really paying attention.
That's normal.
No, we were talking about.
What was it? It was about.
We were talking about the solutions.
The solution. Oh yeah, no. The reason I'm positive that I'm pro the idea because I'm not. Well, I'm kind of mixed.
Yeah.
But the reason that the mixed part of me that is pro the idea is that if we are in fact doing this and we haven't yet figured out how to, forgetting just reducing the amount of carbon emissions we're throwing in the air, we still need to remove some.
Yep.
Okay. We may need some radical ideas, man. That help to buy time, help to stem the tide, help to do things. I mean, that might be necessary, and I don't think that throwing 5 pounds of chalk in the air to find out how it reacts is a bad idea. I think that if we learn about it and we're like, okay, well maybe this could work, and it turns out it doesn't do damage.
Yeah,
it doesn't cause problems. That this might be something that, again, terrifying that we even have to, because the planet's supposed to work on its own.
Right.
The better solution is let's start being a little more responsible to the environment than we are. That's the better solution. Because let me tell you a great way to sequester trees. And this is another article that I sent you.
Here he goes.
Here I go.
He's gone. No, look, he's getting fired up. I love it. I love it. So Noel's energy. I love it when he gets excited. Trees, sequestering.
So the Russians.
Yes.
The Russians have
the Russians.
No, so what they've done is they've basically they've marked off a part of their forest land that's the size of India.
Okay.
And what they're doing is they're leasing it out to people who want to nurture the forest, grow more trees in the forest, keep it alive and keep it safe. And those people who have those areas can now lease out the carbon offsets.
That's amazing.
From growing trees. Right?
Kind of clever.
It is clever. Now, I think a lot of people are giving the Russians a hard time because, let's face it,
we love to give Russians a hard time.
Have not had the best run the last little while. Okay,
sure.
Since
and
the beginning of time.
And if you're a Russian fan of the Biofriendly podcast, we understand that it's complicated over there.
It is complicated.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on.
It's a complicated world.
It's a complicated world.
So people are giving the Russians saying, well, this is just because they don't want to meet their carbon emission goals, and this is their way of trying to get out of it or getting around it or whatever.
This is the loophole the Russians have discovered.
I personally don't care.
Okay.
I don't care. Like if you come up with a way to monetize planting more trees and monetize keeping the forest alive,
for it,
and making that be a thing that's there that nobody gets rid of.
Yeah,
let's do. 20% of all of our forests are in Russia.
Yeah,
people talk so much about the Amazon, and they talk so much about
but there's a lot of trees in Russia.
Forests are so much bigger than anything else.
It's huge. So much land over there.
Keeping those trees in shape, growing more, nurturing that forest. That's a good idea.
It is.
And by the way, when trees grow, they capture and store carbon.
There it is.
So the stuff that you throw up into the sky gets removed by growing. It turns into a tree.
So thanks, Russia.
Right?
Yeah.
Beautiful, wonderful tree that you can look at, and it'll produce you a little bit of oxygen. It'll give give a deer a nice place to pee.
It will.
A lot of good things.
Or me, if I'm on a hike.
Gives Jacob a place to pee. Gives all the drunks protecting the children a place to pee.
Absolutely. Gives the Cheddar Dynasty.
The Cheddar Dynasty has
a
somewhere
place to pee.
Exactly. Now we all know the true value of trees.
The analogies we've come up with today on the show have been bar none. But you know what? I'm happy. I'm happy that Elise has experienced a true biofriendly podcast the way that they go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's about right.
And I saw we had a guest in the room for a little while.
And they got bored.
And they left. But
this is a good experimental clubhouse podcast.
At least we know that it works.
We did it.
We were up and running. It worked.
It worked. All right.
I love it.
That's good. And we got to introduce everybody to Elise.
Yes.
And we're gonna get Elise a microphone so she can.
We're gonna get her a microphone.
Jump in and be part of this.
Next time. Now that you're listening to this episode, you'll know that next week's show, we're going to do a Clubhouse.
It'll be live.
And we're going to do live. And we won't be able to do Clubhouse on all episodes, I don't think.
Well, okay, so we have one remote one that we may be doing.
We have a remote
really
one.
Cool opportunity with one of the first ever recycling setups in the world up in
Mammoth?
Mammoth, near Mammoth, California. We're going to be hopefully going on site once Jacob nails this down and confirms
I'm trying. but
so like the remote ones like that we may, because they're a little more.
It might be tricky.
It's kind of complicated with
That's
guests.
what I'm worried about. I think that we'll announce if we're going to be doing a live one on Clubhouse.
Right.
And if this never goes anywhere, then we won't do it anymore. But we'll try it out.
I think if it's just the three of us on Clubhouse, we should totally keep doing this. Eventually, someone will listen.
It's the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.
No, I think I think we give this a college try, man.
Okay. I'll give it till the end of 2021.
Okay.
Let me tell you something. If we get to Christmas time and we're doing our Sean Coney. Sorry,
he told us.
I know. It's Sean Coney.
At least we've had a friend
for 10 years.
We've worked with in the entertainment business for 10 years.
10 years.
Who we've done many projects with. And we have, without knowing it, mispronounced his last name to each other for
a decade.
For 10 years.
Yeah, it was pretty embarrassing.
And we had him on the show. We're like, hey, Sean Cohn's here. He's like,
it's Coney.
That he's not silent, buddy.
Yeah. So Sean Coney, by the end of this year, when we do our favorite uplifting movies special Christmas time. If Clubhouse has never gone beyond me, you, and Elise, then I say we end the Clubhouse experiment. But if it's blown up,
well, I think the first thing we need to do is since Elise sets up the rooms, we got to start if Elise doesn't mind, we gotta start promoting Elise's handle on Clubhouse.
Yeah, so that everybody follows
And get her the
Elise.
followers, so that because when you are on Clubhouse, when you start a room, everybody sees Elise just started a room.
That's true.
That's the way we got it. That's how we get it done.
Okay.
Pal.
Okay.
Right there.
Okay, I'm with you.
That's the business.
We're going to get it done, and we're going to try
Well,
all
how
those
much
things.
more fun will it be if people can go live and interrupt our show? As if, because we don't interrupt our own show enough.
Like, that's what we need right now is more people chiming in. All right.
Well,
that-
it's just, that way they can see that, in fact, we really do it live to tape.
We do it live.
To tape.
To tape. This has been the Biofriendly Podcast, your beacon of light in a gloomy environment.
Carefully avoiding neonicotinoids.
We are the Siegfried and Roy of podcasts.
This show is a joke.
Exactly. Did we have another one?
Ah, man, there's got to be
I feel like there was
one.
another one in there that we came up with, but now I can't remember it. So.
This
This is the part where the Clubhouse person is such a big fan of the show
that they raise their hand, and
is
then
what
we
you
say-
forgot.
and then they come
That's
and they
what
say,
you
"You
forgot."
forgot." Okay, well, I guess it didn't stick, so I guess we're
stick.
just up to
So
4.
we just do a Cheerio.
Cheerio. I was like, "What are you doing? Why are you putting your finger by your ear, you weirdo?" But that's actually our thing. I'm
That's
supposed to
totally
do
our
it too.
thing. But I love that. Wait, you know what? We're at the end of the episode, but you didn't get to tell your birthday story.
It's a coda. We're gonna do a little tag at the end.
We're gonna do a tag.
Yeah, right now. So
Okay.
if you're
So if you stuck around,
if
this
you
is
stuck around after the Cheerio,
This is the bonus track.
yesterday was my birthday.
It was his birthday yesterday, ladies and gentlemen. So happy birthday,
Thank you.
Noel.
Yes, it was my birthday.
yeah.
I birthdayed.
You birthdayed.
And it was a great day.
We had a good day for your birthday.
Oh, we had a lot of fun yesterday.
always do,
Jacob
yeah.
took me to have a super burger.
It was delicious.
No, we don't often have bad for us food.
But we had bad for us food. Yeah,
yesterday.
yeah.
It was really tasty.
It was very tasty.
So that was a highlight.
Yes.
That was a highlight.
Agreed.
And then we had a nice walk to get
Yes,
the coffee.
we
That
did.
was also a highlight.
very pleasant.
And then we had to work a lot. But
Yes.
that's okay.
It's okay.
You got it's part of the deal.
work hard.
So, but I would still say it was a good day. It was a
Yeah.
nice day. It was very, very pleasant. You know, I enjoyed it.
Okay.
My kids were nice to me. The day was
My kids were nice to me. What if they're like, are we ever not nice to you, Dad?
I have very nice kids.
Yeah,
I should. But you know.
Yeah, anyway.
But at the end of the day, I got home. First of all, I got the Calvin and Hobbes collector's edition.
Oh, I love
set
Calvin and
of and I'm huge on books. I've
You
got
love
a
books.
big collection of
and
books.
I love Calvin and Hobbes.
Yes. So
Yeah.
that was from my friends Nathan and Lena. So shout out to them for a
Shout
terrific,
out. Great gift, guys.
terrific gift. That got things rolling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And then my mom and dad came over.
Wonderful.
And my wife cooked me up my favorite. There's this quiche that my mom made when I was a kid. That's just dynamite.
You love it.
It's my favorite.
Yeah.
And it's not good for me. It's a lot of cheese and a lot of
All things that are delicious are not good for you.
Why?
That's the rule, dude.
the worst.
Everybody knows that. It's delicious, it's bad for you.
Although we found some pretty decent salads recently.
Sure, whatever.
Yeah.
Keep telling yourself that. Go on with your story.
But it's no quiche. So my mom taught my wife the recipe, and she made me this quiche, which was such a sweet, awesome thing because it's so bad for me. That's not normally what she would ever want to make. All right, but I had it. It was amazing. It was tasty. Caught up with my mom and dad family. It was really great.
Yeah.
The kids gave me stonks.
Yeah, stonks. They bought you stonks.
They bought me stonks.
Oh,
so
my
I got
God.
what they knew because I talked too much about
Buying stocks.
buying stocks and all this madness on the internets and Reddit and whatever.
Yeah,
and
GameStop and all
addiction
that,
I
all the
have.
things that's going on. Right.
I'm a weirdo.
Yeah.
But my kids, so I got these cards, these handmade cards by them, and in them were handmade certificates. It said $50 for stonks.
What?
They literally called them stonks, which I thought was the greatest thing.
That's great.
Ever. So that was really awesome. And then anyway, so good. It was great. It was good. It was going really well. I thought, what a day.
Yeah.
And then suddenly we hear just wind going bananas outside.
Yeah,
Like, what?
there was a windstorm
We
last
opened,
night.
and there was a windstorm in Pasadena that was, pretty darn epic. And stuff was just like, I saw a Kansas house.
Or just blowing
Flying
by.
across,
Yeah.
yes,
The Wicked
being
Witch.
followed by a wicked witch.
Yeah.
It was bananas. It was
Yeah.
bananas. So I had to carefully get my parents out without having them die and then get them in their car and they're off and they made it home okay. And then the day's going on and the wife goes, oh hey, do you mind throwing this with this, we get some food stuff that I don't want to spoil, and then the garbage coming tomorrow. Can you take it outside?
Yeah, of course.
And I thought, yeah, that's no problem. I'll take it outside. There's nothing odd happening outside right now.
Like the windstorm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have all these. Our neighbors have palm trees,
Yeah.
which have these palm fronds that get stuck in the oak tree that's in front of my house.
Right.
And so you get all these palm fronds stuck in the oak tree. So whatever, I'm a moron. I'm like, well, I'm invincible. I can go out and do anything I want. No big deal with the trash bag. And I put the trash bag in, and here's like, and palm fronds fly out of the tree and start coming down like missiles.
Like you're at paintball. Just like you're under fire.
I'm under fire, dodging palm fronds everywhere left and right. Well,
Oh my gosh.
one of them got me.
One of them got you bad?
One of them got me. You know those little barbs and stuff on the end of it?
Yeah.
So it came down to slit in the back of my head. I'm going to show you my head later. Thankfully, there's a little bit of skin up there you can see still, but that's unfortunate.
But it got you good?
But I got it's kind of, do you know how hard heads bleed? Like when you get a cut in your head?
I do know. They bleed terribly.
Oh my God. So I'm sitting there, pressure on the head for 30 minutes. That's all done. Like, well, that was dumb. I thought I'd be invincible, attacked by palm fronds falling out of the tree. And then Taya felt terrible because she's like, well, it's like I didn't expect you to get attacked by palm fronds. And no one expected you.
The palm fronds were trying to say happy birthday.
And
they just don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
But they were trying to give you your birthday spankings.
And I got a birthday spanking.
You got a birthday
in the form of barbs ripping my head open.
You know what? At our age, take what you can get.
I just want to feel something.
I just want to feel alive. Mother Nature is like, happy birthday.
Yeah. So I did. I kept the pressure on it, and then Talia, she put stuff to make it not get infected, and then I went to bed, and I managed to get it to stop bleeding before I went to bed. So I don't think there may not be. I don't know. I didn't check my blood, my cushion.
You've been bleeding this entire show. It's literally these chairs were not red. These chairs were white.
Wow, this is awful.
You've lost all the color in your face. You've just bled out completely. Yeah. This was the last Biofriendly podcast. We just wanted Noel to have a good last.
This is a good last
Your
one. Your
family's all here. Strong. Your family's all here.
That's why we did it live on Clubhouse.
That's why we did it live on Clubhouse. We wanted to go out strong. Yeah. Well, now we don't have to do our tags again. We don't have to do the Cheerio again. Now I'm just glad we get to hear the birthday palm frond story.
And that tells you why never believe that it's over just because we say it's over.
Yeah, never believe.
The show
never. Wait, did that just make
never
it a
believe?
Tag? That's the tag.
We got to remember never believe.
Yeah. At least make sure we don't forget next week. Never believe.
Never believe is our new tag. That's hilarious. That is the exact opposite of what we want to say in this show.
Never believe.
I love it. Never believe.
All right, guys.
All right.
That's it.
For real, though. Thank you for listening to the Biofriendly Podcast.
Thank you.
It's the Biofriendly Podcast. It's the Biofriendly Podcast.